I think we're going to start with the penis and all the amazing things that we can do with it. It's impossible for a man to think about sex every 7 seconds.
What makes you a creep? What makes you a weirdo? Are you supposed to approach, or you're not supposed to approach?
We want to be confident, but not cocky, right? We want to be funny, but not creepy. We want to be smooth, but not seem like a player.
There is a certain percentage of women that just will see something I did as creepy, and there's almost nothing I can do about it.
I think that society has kind of placed this burden on men where we're like the rock of a relationship. Live from the World Mansplaining Convention, it's the Socially Awkwards podcast. I am every blind woman's dream, and he is your ice cream on a hot Sunday. And we are the Socially Awkwards. Welcome to the Potty Waddy. Today is one for all the ladies out there, because we are spilling the beans on what women don't know about men. Brandon, I'm pretty sure that you're a man. Tell us something that women don't know about you.
They don't know. They don't know. They might not know if I'm wearing underwear right now. They might not know the brand of my toothpaste.
Mm-hmm.
And thirdly, and
Which
most importantly,
ironically is the same brand as your underwear. Like you
yeah,
wear Crest underwear, right? Or Colgate, maybe Colgate boxers.
yeah, it's actually Sensodyne, but I try to
Oh,
keep this on the low.
well,
Yeah,
Sensodyne is good for less itching.
that's right. Yeah, and most importantly, less sensitivity when you need it. And then also, they don't know my Chick-fil-A order, and that's a problem we'll get into.
Okay, so at some point, are you going to give them your Chick-fil-A order
They deserve if they if they earn it,
if
they'll get
they
it.
earn it? All right.
Yeah,
No women on the show coming today, but if they earn it,
yeah.
we'll see what happens. I wanted to ask you a question about let's get right into it about women's bodies. Let's body shame these women. No, we're not body shaming them. There's always a question that goes around with like women, I think, tend to ask this question to men. And it is, what's the first thing you notice about a woman that you might be like attractive to? Like, so is there anything specific? Some men will be like boobs, but some men are a little bit more sensitive and will say other things. But what do you notice? If you're throwing personality out the window and you just see a woman and you're like, oh, she's cute. Like, what are you noticing like first?
Yeah, I think I mean, to your point, there's two main things. If you're just looking physically, the first thing is just the figure of a woman.
Yeah.
But I think, and possibly even more than that, is
You
that
like the
you the
W
W.
curve. Yeah, the
Yeah,
W woman. Yeah.
yeah. I'm big on the pear shapes too. No, the face. Now I could try
Just
to
the
get really
face in
specific.
general, like just
I
the
check.
whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I could try to get specific about looking at, saying like the eyes or things like that. But I think the face in its entirety and the way that the different features come together to form a sense of symmetry or just
What if there isn't
feeling
symmetry?
like
Are they still
like
beautiful, Brandon?
I mean everyone's beautiful, you know, to the people that they're beautiful to.
What a great answer. That's a very politically correct answer. Yeah, I like to go for the eyes. Specifically, I like I don't know, there's something about eyes. There's just certain ways. And I think we're all men or women are kind of I don't know if you are, but we're all a little bit more attracted to the blue eyes. And I don't know why. But it just I mean, usually. The crazy thing is a lot of women like if they don't have blue eyes, then I'll probably not go. I won't look at the eyes and it'll be something else that attracts me to them. And then it'll take me a year if like I date this girl and like a year later she asks me what color her eyes are and I'll be like, "Oh, I don't know, but I know how big your areola is." I'll say stuff like that, which is yeah. All right.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, well, since this is a show about, or since this is an episode, this is, of course, a show. What women don't know about men. I think we're going to start with the penis and all the amazing things that we can do with it. Um, I'm going to call multiple penises peni because I feel like it's just a good way to say it. I like that word. And a multiple, like a plural of penises is, even though I just said it, is peni to me. So I'm going to tell women out there that peni are more than just pee hoses and sperm tubes, right, Brandon? That we're more than just that, okay? They can be used for many things: pogo sticks, telephones, microphones, joysticks, arm wrestling matches, traffic directors, coffee stirrers, if you're brave, fidget spinners, if you're brave, and some can be used as a level, as long as you, don't have that one that's on an angle. And yes, I want the ladies out there to know that they're not always on an angle. There are some straight and to the point penises out there. Um, because I have talked to women before who thought that all penises were on an angle. And I just thought it was wonderful. But also, I'd like to say that every once in a while, if I'm on like a farm or something, I use mine as a lasso. Or if I just need something from like the cupboards. So um, the penis is an amazing tool. It fills up with blood to get erect, correct? I'm not a doctor, but I think we all know at least that much, right? Do you have anything to say about the penis, Brandon?
I think you summed it up right there.
Yeah,
What could
there's
I
a
add?
there's a lot of
What
yeah.
Yeah, I
Um,
think that the coffee stir is a bit of a stretch.
well, you have to, yeah, in order to stir the coffee.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
most
you mean in a
coffee ends
stretch in
up
like a conversational sense. I got you.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about getting a venti.
yeah,
Coffee is, is often around 140 degrees, and so
yeah. Well, that's why I
that's what
said
I'm
if
talking
you're
about.
brave, you
Yeah.
know.
Oh, I thought you meant so I didn't know who was the brave one, the
Yeah.
person
Yeah,
stirring
if
or the
you're
person.
stirring it, if you're using your penis to stir your coffee, or if you're using it as a fidget spinner, because I don't,
Yeah,
it just doesn't. Yeah, I don't know if women need to hear this, but it doesn't go all ways. I mean, it can't be bent in all different directions. I mean, sometimes it can be, but not. There's a point
yeah.
where you can't.
Well, have you ever seen a swirly straw?
I've seen a swirly.
Same thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Close enough, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and there's is penises are not the only thing that men have to worry about, but we also have to worry about our balls, our nuts, our stones, our rocks, the family jewels, the knackers, the ghoulies, the nadgers, the marbles, the testy besties, the double trouble, the twin cowards, the griffin chin, the pendulum pals, the bean bags, the seed sacks, the biscuits and gravy, the glaze makers, the jizzy jabs, and of course, the grapes of shaft. Um, and for women that don't know, some of us name them. Mine are named Lucille and Lonzo. Do you name your testicles, Brandon? Or haven't you gone that far yet?
There's one's doctor, and yeah, the other one's more of a mister,
I got you. Do they
a
have other
mystery,
names, or it's just you just call them Doctor and Mister? You're like, hey, Mister, get in line with Doctor. You're not ready for it. You haven't got your PhD yet. You need to.
It's just yeah, it's just doctor and mister.
Okay.
They keep it
I feel like you're.
I keep it
I feel
simple.
like you're just like constantly yelling at him with those names. Doctor, don't stop it, Doctor. All right. Hey, Mister. I don't know. Mister seems like a I don't know, like a demeaning word, doesn't it? Sometimes
You
like
remember that
Mister.
song a long time ago by a band called Custom, and they had this song called "Hey Mister."
I do remember it. What were the lyrics? Hey, yeah, the
"Hey
weird. I was
Mister,
thinking that, yeah, when you
I
were saying,
really like your
and
daughter."
I'm glad you told me.
Yeah,
Oh wow, is that how it goes?
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
You actually reading the lyrics of that song would be quite provocative if you remember them. Which
Yeah,
I used to listen to them like I remember it blasting on the school bus radio on the way to school, which was kind of I don't know if that was the appropriate spot to hear that.
they didn't. They didn't care too much, I guess.
Yeah. Thanks,
Um,
Nancy. Thank you.
Funny story, really quick. I was in my high school had a radio station, and I was in and then you would take this like radio class. And then if you were in the radio class, you would that hour like you could be in the radio station. Well, every hour or every week that our group did it because it was like three or four of us. Um, we would always play an Adam Sandler song, and there were a few of them that were a little, might not be technically appropriate. And one that I did play was the Thanksgiving song, and it had something about playing with your noodle, and apparently that was too much. Like, I don't know who like, the teacher didn't even catch it. He told me, like, the next day, and he's like, "Oh, I got complaints about that." And I was like, did somebody wow. It's like somebody's really first of all, I was like, "Oh, somebody's listening to us? We got 1 viewer, 1 listener? That's awesome." And they're complaining? That's
Just to
nice.
complain. Isn't that sad?
Mhm. I think that's how the world works for the most part. What do we call them? We call those, Karens and Darrens, right? Karens and Darrens?
Karens and Darrens? Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, let's get into it. because I think hopefully this brings our women demographic up for viewership. I'm sensing that it's probably more men watching us because we're two dudes, and I'm only a blind woman's dream, and you're only well, you're the ice cream on a hot Sunday, so that's a little bit more desirable, I would think. But let's talk about some things that women don't know about us. And I think one of the first things I want to talk about is compliments. Now, I think that there might be some women out there that'd be like, "Ah, men don't enjoy compliments like we do. Like they don't enjoy them." But I would say that they're wrong. Brandon, would you agree with me? Do you think that like we as men enjoy compliments just as much as the women do?
I think we enjoy it more than the women do.
I think that it's about reaction, right? Like if you give a woman a compliment, there might be a bigger reaction, but guys tend to react different, maybe a little lighter. Um, but I feel like if I've gotten a compliment, especially if it was just from a random person, it's different a little bit in in a relationship, like, you should probably be giving compliments back and forth to each other. But if you just get a random compliment from somebody, as a guy, for me, I think that that really boosts my confidence level. It makes me feel better about myself. And it goes a real long way. And I don't know if they know that or not, but I want them to know that it's okay to give a guy a compliment. Unless he's hitting you or physically abusing you, then
Yeah. You're doing
r
such a good job. What a heavy hand.
right, right. Just run
Yeah.
away from that situation. But, but yeah, has there, like has there been compliments that have kind of, like, really stuck with you? And would you agree that it's almost better to get them from just some random person, than just being in a relationship? Or maybe it's even better to get it from a random person while you're in a relationship? No, probably not, but
Well, yeah.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I've gotten compliments before and it's always felt great. I think that I like them whether I'm in a relationship or not. I think that the earlier you are into a relationship that the compliments still go really far and
Yeah.
maybe even further. It's because you really like that affirmation that that person is, into you as much as you hope
Until,
they
like,
are.
6 months in, right? And then you're like, "Oh, shut up. You stop nagging me."
Yeah, will you and then, and you're like, you're not
Whoa.
complimenting my strong hand anymore.
Whoa.
Uh
Alright, wow.
So I think that now thinking about it when I said earlier that men enjoy it more, I think that it probably comes down to how starved you are for a compliment. I think that
Mhm.
you tend to enjoy it more if you haven't
Right.
gotten it or if you're not used to getting it.
I call
And I'm sure,
1-900 numbers just to get a compliment.
yeah, 1-900
Yeah.
what?
Sex talk? I don't know. I had to think of something that was only 7 letters. It was hard.
I've seen ones that are longer than 7 letters, and I think that the first 7 are all that matter and the rest are just extra numbers that people are typing in.
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
1-900, I want your big, giant, manly body right now. Oh, well, maybe
Yeah.
that's I was referring to them talking about the man, but that makes me sound like I'm calling men numbers. You know what?
Yeah,
Don't
so what
judge
happens
me.
is
Okay,
what
go ahead.
happens is you're typing in "I want Y-O," and then you're connected to an operator, and you're still going beep, 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 beep,
Yeah,
while they're like,
yeah,
"Hello,
yeah.
hello,"
And really
and now
what's happening is you're getting charged for that minute. So your minute's already started while you're still typing in numbers. And
yeah,
so,
the
yeah.
operator comes on and says, "Press anything to agree to continue and get charged," and so you're sitting there, beep, beep, beep,
Yeah. Yeah,
so you're just
yeah.
agreeing
So
to get
you're
charged.
just
It's
agreeing. You just like, we're taking your soul today. We're gonna take your dick and put it in a cup, and you just agreed to all of that. And that's bad. But yeah, sorry. You were talking about compliments. I don't know if you're finished. I keep
yeah, so I think men in general are more starved than in general most women are.
I think you're right. I think that because there's a lot of women who just and I don't think they're intentionally not doing it. I just think they genuinely think that a lot of men don't care. Um but we do, ladies. So give us all the compliments. And by the way, I probably shouldn't spend my money on the 1-900 numbers. I really should just go to like an AI girlfriend at this point. I mean, that's a lot cheaper, I think. And then she can
Yeah,
just tell me. Then I have something to look at because I can just make them, right? I can like give them this mouth, um, you know, like Betty White's mouth, right now. Betty White's mouth right now.
yeah.
Um, which would be, you know, I
Yeah, I
feel
don't
like
know
I'm
if I'm
going
on
into necrophiliac territory, and I don't
I'm
wanna
not
go
on
there.
board with that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. My bad, my bad. All right, here's something I wanna tell women, and maybe you'll agree with me. Just because it's standing at attention doesn't mean it needs attention. Do you know what I mean, Brandon? And this is for women that may not know. I'm sure a lot of women know this now, but when a penis or when many peni get erect, um, it doesn't always it's not always for the reason they think it is. First of all, I'm sure plenty of people by now know morning wood. It's a fun thing. People talk about it as jokes. It's just kind of it's a fun thing to say, morning wood. But it does happen for men. And I get up to pee in the morning and it's like there's an aiming situation that has to happen because it's it's standing at attention when it shouldn't be, and it gets difficult. It's actually frustrating for guys, I think. Well, at least for me, when it's just doing stuff on its own, right? And you're like, well, we didn't discuss this. Like we didn't have any internal discussion. You're just kind of doing your own thing. Um, so I think that's important to say. I don't know if you want to talk anymore on morning wood.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, when you say doesn't need attention, is that the same thing as saying that attention will be rejected?
um, well, no. I think attention. Well, I guess it depends because there has been times when I've woke up and you get the morning wood, but a lot of it I think is just because you have to pee really bad. And then you go pee, and then when you're done, it's like it's weird because it's not like the pee's all just chilling up there in the penis. That's just blood rushing up there for some reason. So if I have to pee really bad, no. But after I'm done peeing, yeah, sure. Let's get that attention going. Yeah, so I guess that's
But,
important too.
uh, but erections are also they're also a really great indicator for general cardiovascular health.
Yeah,
Still getting nighttime erections, it points to lots of things like heart health and yeah, like I said, just general cardiovascular health, blood flow throughout
right.
the body. So these are things that people
This must
actually
be
these are
that
things that are
doctor testicle talking right now. That's good.
yeah. Wait till Mister gets in the mix.
Oh,
You don't want
no.
to hear what he has to say.
Alright. Um, I think this is important to say because we've made a joke on this before, and there's kind of this joke around or this kind of thing stigma that's gone around for years that men constantly think about sex. And I've heard different scenarios of how frequent they think about sex. Like, I think one of the last ones we talked about was, like, 7 seconds or something. And I'm here to tell the women that there's no possible way. It's impossible, I feel like, for a man to think about sex every 7 seconds, especially when if you're thinking about sex every 7 seconds, if you're thinking about sex longer than 7 seconds, then you're thinking about sex all the time.
Yeah.
So and it would just be impossible to do anything else, I feel like. Then you would have something standing at attention all the time, and it would be for that reason. But would you agree that men do not think about sex probably as much as women think that they do?
Yeah, I would. I don't understand that. Yeah, that particular saying, I don't understand it. I mean, you wouldn't even be able to get through a 3.5 minute song on the radio. That means
Right.
like I don't understand
Yeah,
that.
and
Yeah,
you're it seems like you're gonna be getting erections at really bad times. Now, I don't wanna, like, bring up, like, weird, crazy shit, but, like, let's say you're, like, a Santa Claus at the mall. Like, if you really think this guy is thinking about sex every 7 seconds, you're not putting your kid on his lap, it's, like, fucked up. It's like and I do think that the 7-second thing is probably just something that's more of a rumor. I don't know if there's any science behind I know there's no science behind the 7 seconds, but I don't know if they ever came out with science about, how often men do think about sex, but I'm also like, I don't even know how you would like, first of all, you'd have to have a man they're gonna be they gotta be truthful to you, unless you got something like reading their brain waves or something, but, yeah, I wanna just say that that is not true, ladies, we're not always thinking about sex. Sometimes we're thinking about very important, um, global issues, you know? Like, how do 2 800-pound people have sex? Oh, wait, damn it, that's the
I
same
thought you were
thing.
gonna say. I thought you were gonna say. Yeah, I thought you were gonna say the geopolitical state of the world or something like that.
Yeah, well, we
I
do
forgot
that
how
too.
that. I
Yeah.
forgot how that goes.
Yeah, and then, but, I just don't think that we're thinking about, and I would argue that I've known some women throughout my years that if there is a study of how often men think about sex, I think that some of these women that I've met have thought about it just as much, if not more. So you've every once in a while you come across that nympho, right, Brandon? And then you just leave her there in the alley and go home, right?
Yeah, is that did you how did you let's move on.
Yeah, let's do that. I want to say that many men fake confidence, and I'm sure you'll agree with this. When we are talking to a woman, first of all, how much of a struggle is it? Let's say you're like, I always want to say like club or bar because that's where people usually like say these scenarios. But let's just say it's anywhere and you want to go up and talk to a woman. You're like, oh, she's good looking. I want to talk to her, maybe get a number or whatever. I feel like that those minutes of trying, first of all, a lot of guys won't do it. And it's kind of a shifty world because I think a lot of women expect the guy to approach first. And that's another thing I want to say. Women, if you want to approach first, go for it. Because I'll tell you one thing, we may look all fucking confident and shit, but we are shaking in our boots, most of us are. Would you agree to that? Like the amount of anxiety and stuff that comes over us when we think about, oh, I want to go like talk to this girl.
Yeah, I think 9 times out of 10, it's a nerve-wracking experience for any guy to go through to have to do that, and especially and
The
this
10th
this
time is what,
idea
like you're talking to your mom? You're like, "Oh,
the
I've
the
talked to her
10th
before."
time the 10th time, look, you're just him. What can I say? You're
Yeah.
that guy.
You're just
But
Nick Cannon.
we
That'll
live in
happen.
a day and age this idea has been beaten to death, um, and not even complimented for it either, that that it's scary to approach somebody, especially nowadays, because there's a lot of conflicting information and tips on guys about what it means to be like what makes you a creep, what makes you a weirdo, what makes you
You're just gonna
a
go
woman
through
in
all the
public.
lyrics of the Radiohead song?
That's right.
Okay.
Uh,
Alright.
what the hell am I doing here?
I got you, yeah, yeah.
And so a woman's out, if she's out, she's at the gym, she's at the grocery store. It's like, I'm here to work out. I'm here to buy groceries. I'm not here to get hit on. I'm not here for
Right.
unwanted attention. But then for like hundreds of years, it's like in times of old, it's like you bump into somebody and you meet them and that's how you do it. And so I think that there has to be a little bit of grace given in both directions, but especially when it comes to the guys in the current like paradigm of where it's like, are you supposed to approach or you're not supposed to approach? You're supposed
Right.
to just let women kind of like do their thing. And now you're just relegated to swiping on Tinder, which by the way has its own host of problems that because it's completely disconnected from, I think,
Yeah, I
the
play like
biological.
30 different women on Tinder, just so to everybody out there, I play 30 different women on Tinder, so if you're swiping, you might be getting me.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's what I do on my free time.
yeah. And you're ignoring all the highs and hays because you want a high value man who really tries.
I
So
want a sugar daddy. Who
yeah, that's
doesn't?
right.
Sugar
Yeah.
'Cause sugar daddies are easier to come by than sugar mama.
So it's really hard for a guy today. It's really complicated. And it's also really scary because of the social media. Like you don't know if you're being filmed. You don't know. Like we all need the freedom to sort of suck at something before we can get better at it.
Yeah.
And we understand this when it comes to things like playing guitar, but when it comes to things like talking to women, we think that you just have to be born good at it or you just don't or you just should not do it. It's like but you forget that I think that that's another thing where guys can kind of be bad at it and then you get used to it and you can kind of be more comfortable in yourself when you're doing it. And
Yeah.
that middle ground I think is getting squeezed out.
Guys, when we're trying to we're thinking so many things in our mind, right? Like if we're trying to approach a woman. Now let's say it is a club and a bar, which is probably a little bit more socially acceptable for that guy to go up to a woman, right? Like the woman's like probably like, okay, I'm at a situation where guys are gonna come up to me. It's not like a laundromat or a grocery store and like, that kind of thing. The thing is we like a million thoughts are racing through our head before and during an attempt to flirt or introduce ourselves. And we are constantly contradicting ourselves. We want to be confident, but not cocky, right? We want to be funny, but not creepy. We want to be smooth, but not seem like a player. So, because there's in trust me, women, we constantly think about the fact, like, walking away from a situation, it's like, "Oh, was that creepy? Was that weird? Was that" like, I've done that before. I don't know if you have, but it's like, "Did I just say something that probably wasn't the best thing to say?" Um, and so I think that's important to bring up. And also,
Yeah.
I also wanna say really quick, the way not to do it, guys, is don't DM them with dick pics, okay? It took me 84 times to realize this, but don't DM them with dick pics, okay?
Well, the important thing is that you learned,
Well,
and
it was The
that's
Rock's dick, so whatever. If they don't wanna see The Rock's dick, then that's on them. But go ahead.
so. I have a point to make about even the creepy thing that you mentioned. It's like,
Oh, it's good to be
don't be
creepy,
creepy.
but don't be
No,
creepy.
it's that we use the word creepy as if it's objective, but it's not. It's subjective.
That is true,
Something you can
yeah.
do that is creepy. Hey, I saw like I that dress looks really great on you.
Right, and
To
some
that
people might think it's creepy and
Yeah,
some might not.
to one lady that's creepy and to another that's really endearing
Isn't it
or it's
really
really
about, well, like, what
attractive.
they probably think of you, though? Like, whether it's creepy or not?
I think it is, but it also has a lot to do with where they are in what what life circumstances have brought them up to that point, and where they are in their headspace. Are they ready to accept that kind of advance or that kind of compliment? Could that compliment coming from anybody be considered creepy to them? Do they
Yeah.
perceive you as a little bit too much older than them or too much younger than them? Do they perceive so yeah, that gets into how they're seeing you. But there's so many aspects to it that I think that you just have to like I've literally had to resolve the idea in my head that I just will be to put myself out there. There is a certain percentage of women that just will see something I did as creepy, and there's almost nothing I can do about it. And I
Yeah.
have to be willing to be not a lot creepy, but a little bit creepy because and that's the scary. That's actually I think really scary is to say I'm this might be creepy to somebody, but I don't know, like, you have to take a chance. You don't wanna do something that is obviously, the hard limit is you don't wanna do anything that's against the law,
Right.
but and then there's a fat gray area between doing something that everybody agrees you should not have done that, to doing something where, like, most people are like some people are like, "That's great." Most people are like, "Yeah, that's okay," and then, like, it's tiny, like, 10% are like, "I don't know, I think that's creepy," right? So
Right.
that's the area you play around
Yeah.
in.
I get it,
And
yeah.
that's what's so hard. So yeah, so that's the thing is
No,
that
I
it's not
totally
always
get that.
objective.
That's a really good point. I know that that was, like, your main testimony in your court case, but I still like it for this too. Like, it was it's good.
It
Um,
worked.
yeah, it
I'm
worked.
free.
It worked. You're no longer, that PPO was dropped and you're all good, so
Yeah.
that's good.
Let's just say I made bail, okay?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm out.
All
I'm
right.
moving around.
All right. Yeah, no, it is crazy though because you are totally right on that. Like, it's just it's another thing. Like, people always say beauty's in the eye of the beholder. It's like there's so many things that are in the eye of the beholder. And you could say that about creepiness. It's like you just some people will say, "Oh, that's creepy." Some people I've had people say that I've creepy. And I've had people say that my friends are creepy, but then like they've also said vice versa. It's really weird. You just don't know. So yeah, but yeah, it's really hard to go up and talk to a woman. It really is for men, and I think that there are some women out there who think, well, that's kind of their job, and I don't know who made it our job, but curse them because I don't like it. I don't, it's tough. It's tough, and there are some guys out there who just think that they're God's gift to women, right, and that they will just go and do anything. And it's like, yeah. First of all, ladies, if you ever come across that, don't like. It's probably hard to maybe differentiate, like somebody being smooth and somebody being just like acting like that. For some women, it might be hard to kind of see the difference. But if somebody's laying it on thick and they are full of themselves and you can tell that, then I'd probably run. Because I would do the same thing if a woman was like that, but that doesn't really happen with a lot of women. But what's the equivalent to like a man player, like for a woman? Is there like a woman player? I don't even know. Like, or do we literally, or is it the derogatory thing? Do we
I think
say
the
like slut or whore instead? And but for a man, it's not as bad for some reason, which is fucked up
Yeah,
too.
I think it's like that. I thought you when you're saying what's the counterpoint to that, I was thinking more in terms of the guy who is being a little bit too smooth, and it's like you should be able to see this. You should be able to like pick this guy out, but maybe you can't always. And
Yeah.
the equal thing for guys, I was gonna say, is women who are like overly, I don't know, overly provocative in some way,
Oh,
right? And
yeah.
it's like, and other
I
women
get
might be like,
around. Mm,
I
mm.
I think other women look at them and like or girls that women will call pick me girls. And so it'd be like, can't you just see that she's just being that way around the guys, like to get your attention? But like
Right.
to a guy, sometimes you're like, maybe I see it, maybe I don't. But either way, some evolutionarily like designed like trigger in my head is some switch is being flipped, and
Right.
that's just how it is.
It's
And sometimes
working.
that's how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes to a guy who's being a player, he's too smooth. Us guys can be like, you can see, right? Like you can see the difference.
Yeah.
But to a woman, I think that sometimes it's just like if you flip the right switch, it's like it's the same sort of thing. It's like what it's hard to deny that.
It is, yeah, and there could be guys out there that yearn for attention that just haven't gotten it, and then that's where the crazy relationships come in. Because then you're gonna have, like, a controlling relationship, probably most likely from the woman's standpoint,
Yeah.
but, so
You know, Matt, do you ever yearn?
oh, I yearn a lot. I'm a big
Okay.
yearner.
You're a big yearner?
Yeah,
All
I'm a
right.
big yearner. And I'm glad you said that, Brandon, because I wanna tell everybody right now, and I wanna tell women that urinal choice, when men are choosing a urinal in the bathroom, is based on man science. It's kinda like a little hot take I have, but there is there is some logic. We have to do some thinking if it's a busy bathroom. I haven't gone into too many bathrooms that are busy, but but we do choose the urinal very carefully. Correct? Would I be correct in saying that?
Yes, it's a logic puzzle. It's a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
It's a it's a what else is it? It's a brain teaser.
Right.
You gotta choose the right thing. And guys are just, we have this instinct deep in our loins that just tells us what the right answer is. But for somebody who's not a guy, you might look at it and you might be puzzled because there is a
Yeah, you
mystery
gotta
to
have
it.
loins to
Yeah,
know, for sure, and I don't know if women have loins. Do women have loins? I don't know. I think anytime a romantic novel comes out, I thought it was usually the man that has loins, but I'm not sure.
yeah.
Um, also, I wanna say that, and this might be something that I don't, and maybe women do this, but I feel like it's more of a man thing. I feel like guys can have friends that for a lifetime, but, like, either hardly see them or, like, never see them, but maybe just talk to them on occasion. I feel like it's easier for guys to do that. Would you agree, or would you like, I feel like there's a lot of women, like, if you're not like, I feel like women would get upset. Like, if you haven't, like, if a woman had a woman friend and, like, it was a couple of years and she came back into her life and she's like, "Hey, what's up? Sorry I was gone." She's like, "What the fuck, man? I thought we're like," but as a guy, somebody just, like, said, like, you don't talk to somebody for a couple of years and they're like, "Hey, what's up, bro?" And you're like, "Hey, what's up?" Like, it's, like, more of a, I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but I wanna get your opinion on it.
I feel that you are correct, but I also recognize that I might have a biased point of view
Yeah, it's
because I
tough
don't.
because we have
Yeah,
loins and we don't know what it's like.
that's right. And
Yeah,
we just know. We don't have to think about it. We just
right,
know. We
right.
just know how it is. Yeah.
Um, Now this is something interesting, and I read about this, and I was trying to think in my head. I'm like, have I done this? And there was people talking about how guys have a secret language with other guys that's kind of based on like head nods and eye movement. And I do think that there is somewhat of a, I wouldn't really call it a whole language or anything, but there is some secret like movements that we would do, like maybe nodding our head or whatever. Um, where we know as a guy what that other guy's trying to say. Now, I'm sure women have their own secret language, probably multiples, but I'm just saying that if women didn't know, men do too in some certain aspect. Would you say that that's kind of like true in a way?
Yeah, I think there's a certain way that a guys can stand that. I mean, just the physical presence in the space you're willing to take up kind of communicates something about what you are. Now, this isn't like direct communication like nods, but I do think there is a lot of this like sub communication, this physical communication that guys do that communicates what your like protective capabilities are for the space that you're taking up. Um, I know women do a lot of things with they do a lot of look exchanges. I think they do a lot more looks than guys do.
Yeah.
I know that
They give a lot
I've
more dirty
talked
looks too. I've never really seen a dirty
dirty
look from a
looks.
guy.
Yeah,
It's like
that's true. Yeah, I haven't
our
seen a
dirty
dirty look from
looks
a
are,
guy.
like, more, like, sexual, where theirs are like, "Oh, I'm mad," I think.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And also when if you're really perceptive and you're talking to somebody, especially if you don't know them well, you can see that the look that they shoot to their friends,
Yeah.
and a look that is just like is just ever so slightly different can mean a world of different things. It can mean like get me out of this conversation, or it can mean things like, can you believe that I'm like, isn't it exciting I'm talking to this guy, you know? And that look could look almost the same thing to most guys with just like a millimeter of difference in facial expression, which I found, which is interesting.
Yeah, because
Um,
as a guy, I think we can't spend our time trying to decipher their signs while we're talking to them because we're too worried about what we're saying and our confidence level ourselves. So we don't have time to be like, "Oh god, we don't even know if, like, she's into us." We're just trying to do the best that we can.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes you think she's into you and then she's like, "All right, well, I'm gonna me and my good friends are gonna go run to the bathroom." And then, you don't see him for
Yeah.
a half hour. And
Right,
you
yeah.
go, "Where'd she go? Where'd
Sometimes
she go?"
she thinks that he's into you, but really he's just in you, and that's why you don't go date Bill Cosby or
And it's
any other
3 a.m. and Taco Bell's already closed, and now everything sucks.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah,
It's bad.
yeah.
Um,
Well, an
Go ahead,
interesting
sorry, yeah.
thing that before we move on from that, there's something that I've said before. This is I don't know if you have anything like this written down, but it's an interesting thing about guys that I think that women don't notice. But there's often a conversation about the way a woman feels when she walks down a street and the way a guy feels.
Like,
And
we
so
referring to,
and
like, catcalls and stuff?
Catcalls, but also just the sense of danger, just this
Oh,
feeling of
true.
danger
Yeah.
that women just feel a higher sense of,
Well,
like,
l
a guy can overpower them at any
right.
moment. But what I've always said is there is something that women now, I don't wanna discredit any of that because I think that's all true,
Yeah.
but there is something that women overlook about guys, which is this feeling that, eh, that at any moment, any guy you meet, you know that if you say or do the wrong thing, a fight can happen. You just know it. Like,
Well, that's true, yeah,
I
yeah.
know if I'm meeting a guy, there's always a size up happening. I know if I say the wrong thing to cross a boundary, he's going to have to set a boundary. And if he sets it too hard, then he's going to cross one of mine. And I have to set it. And if I don't set it, now it's like, I don't want to, I had to distill everything down to just values, but it's like my social value gets like demolished in front of everybody. So it's like, I have to set this boundary for
Yeah.
my own sake and for my honor and for my ability to be able to stand on my own 2 feet. And things between two guys can like just like two male gorillas is like they can easily like they can easily escalate into a situation where you're in a full out fight. So and this is something that women sometimes because I think women deal with when you're alone. There's lots of situations for women where you're afraid of different types of threats or violence from guys, but I actually think that there is a slightly less physical violent component to it than there is for guys. Like, I feel a constant like, under the undercurrent of me dealing with guys, there's always the feeling of, like, physical violence is the ultimate end that could be achieved here if things don't go well. And usually 99 times out of 100, that doesn't happen, but it's always a thing that I'm thinking about. When I'm in a group of guys I don't know and I'm talking to them, it's like there's a very thin line, of societal standards that stand in between me and one of these guys fighting right now.
Right. And the line in that increases with when, like, alcohol's involved too. Um,
Yeah, it's razor thin at that point. Yeah.
yeah, it's really it's bad.
Yeah.
Also, I think it's much harder for a man to tell a woman what they are worried about in general, like their worries, their general worries than it is. I think that society has kind of placed this burden on men where we're like the rock of a relationship. Now, I'm not saying that women can't be. I'm sure there's the fact is I actually think of it as an opposite thing. I actually think that as a guy, like if I have a lot of worries and a lot of problems and things, I feel like that just having being in a relationship with a woman would solve a lot of my worries. And they would be so in that sense, they'd be like my rock. But I do feel that there is this sense where we don't. open up as much in relationships as women do, or just in general. But I also think that that's out of I think that's there's many reasons for that. Like I said, I think societies kind of put us in that group. But also women tend to like come to us with their worries and they've got their drama, they've definitely got their female drama or something going on a little bit more dramatic than I think a lot of men would be, but men can be dramatic too. So don't think that there's not men out there that are like that. But there is a sense where we don't want to put a lot of worries on them because they it feels like they already have enough worries. And so if they're worried about it, they're telling us their worries, and then we're kind of like, okay. But then that's like a double burdensome to us because now we're holding a bunch more on our shoulders. I
Yeah.
don't, what do you've got to say about that?
Yeah, it's like I just know, regardless of what anybody tells me, I have this voice in my head where I just know in a relationship that if I'm the type of guy where magically I'm able to handle an infinite amount of stress and place it on my shoulders and walk forward with it, that is the most attractive thing I can do. That is the
Yeah,
most useful and attractive thing that I can do. And regardless of how many times somebody says, "No, we want you to be, we want you to share your burdens and be vulnerable." I know I can do that to a point, but I always know I got to be careful not to just open up a floodgate of like personal issues, because I think that it does seem like, I don't know where it comes from. I don't know if it's society or if it's something that is just that I was born with in my head, but I do feel like my ability to be
maybe
able
it's
to
Maybelline.
maybe it's
Maybe,
Maybelline, that's true.
yeah.
And
I
it
mean,
might be, it might be.
yeah,
So the ability to be able to put all these things on my shoulder and carry take all that stress and walk forward with it, it just feels like something that as a good man, I should be able to do. I don't know if it's sort of like it's popular in this men's like stoic philosophy circle of like, or like the Sisyphus, like the person like rolling the ball up the hill. And it's like as a guy, you just feel like you have to be able to just do work and smile while you're doing it. And whether
yeah.
it's Atlas putting the world on your shoulders or whatever it is. So yeah, that's what I feel about it.
Yeah, and I think that's why we die sooner than women.
Yeah,
I think, and it's not
probably.
on them. I think that a lot of it is just like you said. It's like it's the societal norm, and probably more so in Western culture than than probably in some of those other cultures. I don't know, maybe, but I want to tell women that when speaking with a guy, be direct and to the point. We don't want to decipher what you're trying to say. Would you agree with that, Brandon?
Yes, I would. Yeah.
We don't want to sit here like we've got so many worries and so many things like we were just talking about how we don't want to burden a woman with our worries and all that stuff. So now we've got to like now you're telling me something and it takes 5 minutes to come out and I don't know what you're trying to say. Just be direct. Just ask me directly or just say what you want to say. Get to the point fast.
Yeah. What are you angry about?
Yeah. Yeah, just
Well, nothing.
right.
I
Yeah.
know I'm getting onto a whole other subject, ain't I?
Yeah. Well, no,
Yeah.
yeah, because well, actually, you are. Because on that note, I want to say we are never not thinking. It is impossible to think about nothing. We don't want to be asked, "What are you thinking about?" more than once. So that kind of goes into what you were gonna, I think, kind of run into there.
Yeah.
But we don't
I think
think about nothing.
I think that sometimes or a lot of times we're thinking about things that we know will have no interest to the person asking about it.
That's true.
And so it's easier
Like
to say
another
I'm
person's
thinking about
boobs or
nothing.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, or just something really like something really esoteric and nerdy, or like not really like it's like what color are, like what color were Pikachu's toes in like the second game appearance that he had, because I remember playing that on the Game Boy Color. It's like some weird thing,
Right.
and you're like I don't even want to talk, like it's just some weird like
It's almost
mind.
to the point where it's embarrassing to say what we want. Like, we might be embarrassed by it, so we're just gonna be like, "Nah, nothing. We're not thinking about it. I'm nothing. I'm thinking about nothing."
That's exactly right. Yeah. I agree that I don't know if it's possible to just actually just not think. So I
No,
agree
I
with you
I
there.
I do realize that I've spaced out before, and after I'm done spacing out, I probably couldn't tell you what I was thinking about. So in a sense, it almost like feels like you were thinking about nothing, but it's just impossible to do. I feel like if we were to bring some kind of neurologist or some kind of scientist that studies the brain or something, I'm sure they'd be like, well, that's just impossible to do. Um, Even babies, I'm sure they're thinking about something even though they don't really know anything, but they're probably just thinking about, oh, I gotta poop or fart or I need food. But whatever, everybody's thinking about something.
Yeah, I was just thinking that this would be a great idea to come up with like a cheat sheet or like some flashcards or something that could like fit into a guy's pocket or maybe an app where next time and the purpose of it is when a woman asks what you're thinking about and you can't actually get into the details of what you really were thinking about,
Right.
but you don't want to say nothing. Now you can go to the cheat sheet
I got you.
and
You
it
got
gives you like you could
right.
say, "Oh, I was just thinking about how um this weekend we should visit your in-laws this weekend."
Oh, wow. But then you're stuck in that, right?
Yeah, well, that's an example of a bad
Yeah,
flashcard. That's what
that's
you give to your opponents. Yeah.
if
It's
she's
a,
gonna
it's a
see you
game.
like
It's a game.
like rifling through different cards in your pocket and be like, oh no, not that
Let's
one,
see
not that
here.
one.
I was thinking about how pretty your eyes are. I was
Right.
thinking about
Right.
was the golden white dress actually blue and black?
Yeah. Those are some
So
pretty
you
good
have
ones. Yeah, some things that you could
yeah,
just you could sit there and talk for with 5 minutes, you'd be okay with it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking about how underrated Adele is and like that, pull it out.
I
And then you
agree.
guys, "Oh
She is
yeah, that's
underrated.
nice."
Let's talk about that for the next 45 minutes.
Well, let's rate
That's
her. Let's just rate her a bunch and then
yeah, well, rate. You saying rate, right? Okay. Um, all right. um, I want to say this. I don't know how many women believe this because I think a lot of people know now that men are capable of this. But I want to say that a man can create an attachment to any pet. I think that a man can create an attachment to an animal or a pet just as much as I think a woman can. Um, And I will say even this, that I constantly talk to my dogs and my cats, and it's funny, and I don't know if you've had this scenario. I know you don't have a lot of pets over there, but maybe in the past you've had this scenario where when you're talking to them, you're not talking to them in like your regular voice. It's like you even put on like a baby voice or some kind of pet voice or whatever you want to say for the pets. And I do that like constantly. But if somebody were to catch me, I would be a little embarrassed. I'd be like,
yeah.
oh, you caught me.
Everybody's got the "What are you doing under there?"
Right.
That's what
Right.
they're saying.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
classic line.
Except yours
Along
was,
with
to R. Kelly. Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
"What are you doing under there?"
"What are you
"I'm
doing under
peeing."
there, R. Kelly? Hiding?"
Full bladder.
Too far, Brandon. Too far. Right. No,
No, I'm
just
talking about the bladder system,
yeah.
the
Yeah.
bladder
The
system.
double bladder? I didn't know you had 2.
The oil
Oh, I
spills.
got you. Yeah.
It's one of my entrepreneurial
Oh, the double
ideas.
bladder system.
That's right.
I think you're doing a Seinfeld reference now.
Yeah, that's
Alright,
right. You
alright.
got it.
Alright, men absolutely need, our own alone time. Would you agree? That I mean, just as much as I'm sure women need their alone time too, even though I feel like they'll probably go out with the girls and do some talking and have a girls' night out or whatever. I think guys need a guys' night out too. I think that's important too. But I think ultimately we should let women know that men need their alone time too, just as much as anybody else.
I know that I need it, and I'm not the most unique guy in the world,
You
so
need
I'm
some
sure
alone
that
time with Doctor and Mister.
Doctor and Mister, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, and what's the that's it.
Okay. I have a feeling you were going to go somewhere else with that, but we'll move on.
Well, there was a third name, but I didn't wanna
You didn't want to
you know,
reveal it.
three's a crowd.
Yeah. We might have 3 as a crowd. Unless you're into that, who cares? Unless you're Bunny Blue, and then like a thousand's a crowd. All right. Many men will forever have a certain immaturity about them. Do you agree with that? I honestly think that most people throughout life will have a certain immaturity about him, and I think you should never lose that. I don't. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a difference between being immature all the time, blah blah blah. But I still think it's funny, like if you laugh at a fart or like just the immaturity of like something you would laugh at with a child. I think that that's good to have.
I agree with that, but I don't agree with the definition. Like, I don't even like defining it as immaturity.
Okay.
I think immaturity is more like not following through with your word, not being trustworthy, not being dependable, not being
Okay.
um
Yeah. Yeah.
not having your not being able to have your best
I thought that
interests
was just being
or
a douchebag. But I could see that. Immaturity could be like a douchebag type scenario.
yeah, I just think that when people call goofy or silly or lowbrow humor like immaturity, I don't think that's a great use of the word because I think as you get older, especially when people get into the like senior citizen age, that you really find that you have to hang on to these like silly little things about life. I mean, because otherwise you're going to take it too seriously,
Yeah.
you'll never make it out alive.
Yeah, imagination is that way too. I think we've discussed in the past about how I don't think your imagination should ever go away. It's the greatest thing in the world to a kid, just being able to imagine everything. And then at some point you're unleashed out into the cruel, cruel world with the geopolitical issues going on, and
That's
all that
right.
stuff. And then you get less and less imaginative and you get more wrapped up in the real. But I don't think you should ever let your imagination go away. Imagination is everything. That's why actors are actors. That's why stand-up comedians are stand-up comedians. That's why musicians are musicians. That's all imaginative things. They're writing down things that imagine, whether you're a writer in a movie or you're a singer or a songwriter or whatever. That's all an imagination type thing, and I don't think you should ever lose that either. People know. Um, we talked a little bit about this already, but if it looks like we are ignoring a woman, we're probably just spacing out because our brains are overloaded. Because we are thinking about a lot of things at once. And no, they're not all about sex, like we had said before, but we're just sometimes we're capable of thinking like three or four things at once. And my mom would always make this joke how it was the opposite. She'd be like, I'm always thinking about like multiple things. She always make a joke about how she had different boxes. She's like, I got all these boxes open and you guys just got one. And I'm like, well, no, that's not really true. Um, I think we have multiple boxes as well. And so just realize that we're not ignoring, we always have stuff on our mind and we're always dealing with our confidence and all that stuff too. Just because we're in a relationship with somebody for 5, 10 years, or maybe we're married, I could totally see men and like being in a marriage 10 years down the line and still being like, oh, am I good enough for this girl? Like that totally would come up, I think, in my mind. Um, so that's just kind of, something. What about listening to our partner's problems? Because I think I think that there might be a few women out there who might think that maybe they're trying to get a somebody to solve their problem. But I think for the most part, what women really want is just for us to listen to the problem because everybody feels better, right? Not just women, when they feel like they're being listened to. Um, and I think that that's big. I think that if you can just listen to the problems, you don't have to solve everything. I do think that there are some men out there who will be dedicated enough to the woman that they'll be trying to solve it. But I think that just listening is good enough. What do you think?
Yes, I think this is actually an area where a lot of men do fall short because I think it's very common for a man to have I don't know,
A
like a
listening
solver's
disorder?
mindset.
Oh, sorry. What did you say?
Well, I was gonna say a solver's mindset is
Oh,
what I
okay.
called it.
Okay.
And it's where when you hear a problem, the best way to deal with it is to solve it.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that with the way you're overlooking it is that because I've heard guys say before, well, like, why should I have to sit here? Why am I going to sit here and listen to it? And she doesn't want to hear of any solutions. All she wants
Right.
to do is complain.
Yeah.
And I understand where that's coming from, but sometimes you don't realize that just listening is the solve. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's the connection that sometimes you can overlook.
Isn't that why we
Where
all go to therapy? I mean, I think there are people out there who
essentially,
are
yeah.
like, "Oh, I want my therapist to solve things," but in reality, it just feels good to vent and to have
They
somebody
do,
there.
yeah, and most therapists modern therapy is directed mostly to not actually solve
Right.
your problems directly. They're not supposed to prescribe what you are supposed to do. They're just there to listen and then help you along while you kinda solve your own problems. And, I actually don't love that approach. I think that's not a great modern approach.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes you do need somebody who's willing to take on a bit of a life coach role and say, "Okay, I see where your life's at. Here's some decisions to make here." But you can overdo that too, to the point where now you're steering the wheel and somebody else is a passenger in their own life. So
It's
it
a
depends on the
balancing
person.
act that you really have
That's
to,
right, yeah.
yeah, and everything's such a balancing act.
It's It's like being at the circus
Yeah,
every time you dive into your brain.
yeah, it is. It's tough. It's
Yeah.
rough. Um, I want to say that overall, I think guys are probably way less cleanly when it comes to like their houses, the where they live. Like I'm not a very big. I hate cleaning. I'm not a big cleaning guy. But I will say that like if we know a woman's coming over, like, that's motivation enough to spend, like, 3 hours or whatever you need to start cleaning up, right? Like, I think that we definitely do that. But would you definitely say that overall we're probably much sloppier and dirtier than women?
I would, but
But you're
my
not?
my
You're
personal
better than all
experience
the
is
women.
no, it's that all the women are worse.
Okay,
No.
okay.
My personal experiences have not been as conclusive as I think that most of the population probably is. So,
I
it's
got you.
hard for me to agree with all my heart.
I got you. I got you. So what you're saying I don't know if any of your exes listen or watch the pod, but what you're saying is all your exes were dirtier and sloppier than you,
Clothes on the floor is such a common thing that I've seen.
right?
Yeah, just kinda stuffing everywhere. Okay, let me put it this way. In terms of, like, old food molding somewhere,
Oh,
like
wow.
fast
Yeah,
like fast food sitting around,
yeah,
that actually I think is a more of a man way to be dirty.
yeah,
But what I've seen is not as cut and dry when it comes to things like laundry on the floor and, like makeup items being in disarray
right.
versus, like, a man's items. I've seen more kind of equality across the board with that kinda stuff, so I think that's what I was
And if
thinking of.
you're dating a girl that has her laundry on the floor, that means she's not doing her laundry very much, which means she's probably not gonna do your laundry, so if that's what you're looking for,
Yeah.
get out of
I
there.
like to think I like to think she's just so passionate that in the heat of the moment, she just rips off her clothes and they land where they land, and that's
Right.
where they've been for the last week.
I got you. Or
Who
she's
knows?
just she's just been with a lot of guys, and those were all of her outfits that she ripped off for each of her one night stands.
Yeah. Well, you don't gotta crush my
I'm
dreams.
sorry. I wanted to balance things out. All right.
Yeah.
Um, I wanna say that, I've been around a lot of women that have talked about imperfections and insecurities and things like that, of how they feel about themselves, and I do think that there are a lot of times when women start there's certain imperfections that they'll talk about or point out to themselves. I mean, and it actually always ends up being not always, but it ends up being like one of the things that makes us attractive to that person. I mean, and I'm not talking about like, oh, like I've only got like one nostril or something, and you're like, oh, well, I mean, I could probably still date a girl with one nostril. I don't know how the breathing is when she's sleeping, but we can work it out. Um,
Mhm.
but I do think that there are times where they talk about their insecurities or their imperfections, and it's actually like I've had women. I know one of the big things is for women who have had kids, they get really insecure about their stretch marks. And I've seen women who've had some pretty significant stretch marks. I've seen women who've had, barely that bad stretch marks. And that doesn't really seem to bother me. I dated a girl, I don't know, like 20 years ago. She was born with a bunch of extra bones in her body. I don't even know exactly what the disease was called, but she had like multiple surgeries to get rid of these bones. So she had like scars everywhere. But they didn't bother me. Like it was almost like cool. But, like, would you agree with any of that? Have you ever, has there ever been a girl that's like, "Oh, I really don't like this about my body," and you're actually like, "Oh, well, that's actually one of the things I like the most about you," or is that not?
Yeah, I think that's a very common thing, actually. I think that women that tend to have insecurities that they are overly insecure about, especially when it comes to, like, in a relationship where they think that this is the biggest thing that that guy is probably not gonna like about me. That's what they're imagining anyway,
Right.
and very often I have found that not to be the case. Tends to be other things.
Yeah.
Anyways,
If this
so
guy names his testicles, I'm outta here. Oh, shit.
Doctor Van Nostrum.
Doctor Van Nostrum. He's I think he's been labeled in a chart as difficult. I don't know for sure.
Mm.
Um I want to say that we may try to act all rough and tough, but guys still need a hug every once in a while. I know there's guys out there that are not a hugger, so I'm trying to say hug in like almost a metaphoric sense. But if you want a hug, That's cool too. But I do think it's important to realize that, we're not just like these all rough and tough. Besides, if you were that way all the time, it'd be exhausting, wouldn't it? Like you would just need to fucking chill out. But we aren't these people who are like need to be like these big badasses all the time. Or at least I'm not. I mean, there might be guys out there that are like that, but I would probably stray away from them if you're a lady. But what do you think of that?
Hugs are great.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
They're good. They're good. Also, I want to say that this is always kind of like a funny thing. I feel like that women, when they get into a conflict with other women, it's like drama, 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 and it can last for a long time, and there can be like a lot of issues. But have you ever noticed where there's like sometimes there's a conflict between two dudes, and if they just fight, like those same two dudes could like just have a beer or something after and talk about it and joke about it, and how it's a little bit different, like how conflict is different between two men and two women. Like, would you agree with
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, that's very now, this might be telling on myself a little bit, but I have always found that to be kind of a weird behavior in men. The being angry enough to fight
Oh
and then immediately
yeah.
after
Well, I
you're
think
like,
that's a
"Hey."
another societal
Yeah,
impact type thing. Yeah.
yeah. If I'm angry enough to fight somebody, I don't know that I immediately afterwards because we're that I'm not quick to anger.
Right.
So, I think that guys that actually can be quicker to anger, they are more often to come across this type of situation where immediately after the fight, you're like, "Hey, let's go grab a beer and be friends." And I don't the reason why I have a hard time seeing eye to eye with that is because I feel like once I get angry, it's probably over something serious enough where afterwards it's still gonna be an issue. Like,
Yeah.
you still did this thing that made
After
me
you killed
angry.
the person, you're like, it's
Yeah, how about I
still
pour a beer down your dead throat? Yeah,
yeah.
I'll do that.
Yeah, yeah. It is crazy because I do agree with you, and we could almost say that that could be kind of immature behavior a little bit. Like if that's what it takes to really like get your anger out, that's kind of an immature way of saying it. Now, there are going to be some alphas out there. They're going to be like, oh no, you got to show them who's boss or whatever.
You
But
gotta step up.
yeah,
Yeah,
but, I don't always agree with that. Now, I will say this, there are certain situations where that's not gonna be the case, where you're not gonna go have a beer after them, but there are certain, occasions where you that I could probably be angry enough to maybe hit somebody, and that would be, like, number 1, if they're hitting somebody if they're abusing or physically hurting somebody that I love and that I care about, um and number 2 would be if they say they don't like donuts. I mean, it's all out
yeah,
war. That would
that's a
start a
big
war.
one.
Like, if I was a leader of a country and another country said, "Oh, we don't like donuts," that country would be bombed to oblivion.
Yeah, they said, "Down with Entenmann's."
Yeah,
What would
down
you
with the
say?
Entenmann's, down with Tim Hortons, down with Dunkin', down with whatever. By the way, if you are standing at attention, if you wake up as a man and you're standing at attention, sometimes you could put a donut on it. Just saying. Um, or if you know how you really know you got a good lady is if you put a donut on it and you're like, "Hey, baby, eat that donut,"
Yeah,
and then she does. Yeah. All right.
because of the powder.
Yeah. Sure. One more thing I want to talk about, and then we're going to get into some fake sponsors, and we got a segment, and then we're going to be answering some questions from the ladies we got some questions from ladies who had questions about men. Um, Competition. This kind of goes with what I was just saying, but I feel like competition with women, it really just depends. If you're talking about like athletics and stuff, I think competition can be pretty fierce for no matter what gender you are. But I think competition with women in general is a little bit more fiercer than and I'm really talking about if they're competing to get a guy's attention. If two guys are competing to give a girl's attention, I feel like it could result in like a fight. But I think for the most part, I don't think it's going to go that route. I think usually like either one guy backs down or they just find out like, if the woman likes one of them more or something. Would you agree, disagree, re-agree?
Competing for attention?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree.
I like your short
I'll put it there.
answers. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
I like to dive deep on these issues.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
Put her
Um
there.
let's Alright. You heard that too, right? Or is that in my head? Alright.
Heard what?
Yeah. We are fake sponsored by Natalie Wood. Remember that one time when she thought she was a fish? We are also fake sponsored by Michael J. Fox Holds a Baby. Place your bets now. We are also fake sponsored by Looks Maxing. Become the douchebag you've always wanted to be. We are also fake sponsored by a Cosmopolitan, the drink you wish you never had. Back to you, Brandon. I don't know why I say that every time. It's like we're doing a newscast, and I like to throw it back to you. And then I'm hoping that one day you'll have something to say when I throw it back to you.
Today in the northern regions, we have a high of 75 with a low of
In the northern
48.
regions, it's quite general, but all right.
Yeah,
All right.
the south will be fine.
It's time for a funnier segment. A new segment that we're going to do, probably only once. Maybe we'll do it more, but this is fun. Specific to this episode. What women don't know about women from men who know. And we are the men who
Yeah,
know. I want to talk
that's
about
right.
this. I've talked about this in the past. I've had a girl literally do this to me, and that was um when a woman when a woman what
One of them.
I did a singularity there, and then I did a plural, and it didn't work out. When a woman tells another woman, like a friend, that a man is off limits of dating and she's not dating that man, it makes that man more desirable to her friends. Agree or disagree?
Agree.
Yeah. I think it's
Yeah.
backfiring. I don't know why they do it. We've discussed this in the past. I don't know why it happens. It's some kind of like, because does that really happen with guys? I mean, maybe it does, but I don't think it to that extent. I've never had like a guy like, usually it's like with guys where like we're calling dibs. Like somebody will see a hot girl, will be like dibs, and you'll be like, oh fuck. And then you get your shot, and then if it doesn't work, and then it's fine and all that. But I've never really seen it in the way of women doing it. And I know you said you really haven't experienced it when we talked about it before. Maybe you've heard of that. But to me, I think it's a backfiring thing to do. I think that's what happens is and I think, really you're just giving that
You get the
guy
bad boy
like,
effect. You
yeah,
got the bad boy
yeah,
effect.
and yeah, I'm a bad boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually think that before I was like, it's kind of weird that women do this, but now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh, I wish more women would do this because it's actually is helping you out in a way.
Yeah.
Um,
The worst thing that you can be is like, he's a nice guy. He's a
right.
nice guy. He's a
Yeah.
good guy.
Yeah, you
Like,
can't say
okay.
that. Pick up the phone, Elaine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pick up the phone.
I'm a bad
Yeah.
boy. Yeah, sorry. We're gonna throw some Seinfeld references in there. If you get it, you get it. If you get it, you're our best friends. If you don't get it, then I don't know. Maybe watch Seinfeld, you fucking morons. All right. So yeah, I think that can be that backfires on women, and then you get the ultimate thing where if like one of those woman's friends just ignores her and just goes for it anyways, then you get into the whole drama. Like there's probably going to be a fight there, and they're probably not going to be friends anymore. And women hold a grudge. That's another thing we could probably say. Women, I think, hold a grudge a lot longer than men. I don't know for sure. I don't want to exactly say that I'm 100% sure about that, but I feel like from what I've seen and heard, I'm an experience myself that women hold a grudge longer. Um, all right. So some more things about women, what women don't know about women from men who know. Um, I just want to say that don't think your single friends aren't checking us out when you're dating us. I think the more you talk us up to a single friend, I think the more they get jealous. Would you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I think that sounds fair. I would agree with that.
I think that even happens to guys too. I think that, but I also think that it's weird because I've had women talk about how do I say this in a delicate way? I've had women talk about to their friends about my delicate parts to my friends while they were dating me, and I always thought that was weird.
Delicate.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
say delicate parts.
Yeah.
Um, I find that weird because women usually get down on the fact that, and I've never been like a big talker to my other friends about how sex was with my girlfriend or anything like that. But I think there is kind of this stigma out there that men do that. Um, And I've heard, I mean, I've seen it, I've heard it from other men, but me personally, I don't really get into those details. So I do think it's kind of funny when women start talking about that kind of stuff. And I think it's funny because I think if there's something that men don't know, I think that there probably are more women that talk about that than we actually think exist. Yeah.
In my experience, I think that's more common for women to talk about those things than it is for men.
Yeah.
I don't know, in my circle of men, like, we talk about, like, I think where we get into it is, like, did you get lucky,
Right.
like, that kinda level,
Is
but
that
we
what
don't get,
is that when you have the sheet on your head in the flaming torches in the woods? Is that your
um,
circle of men?
close. I was thinking more like you're at the slot machine and
Oh,
you hit all sevens.
yeah, yeah, that's good,
Yeah.
that's better. Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's how men talk about it to the extent that they do in my experience. With women, I think that's where you get into the more like the details of like what did it look like? What did it,
Right,
and I'm like,
right,
I'm not sitting there describing itty bitty bits to my boy
right.
dudes that I'm
Yeah.
hanging around with. And I'm like, hey, check, here's what the
It
bits
looked
look
like
like. Let me give you a
a
let me
Venus
give you a s-
flytrap.
you know, I have a sketch artist from the precinct that I'm gonna have sketch it out while I, you
Right.
know,
Yeah.
go into
Well,
detail.
you're really getting a lot of Seinfeld references in today. Good. Um, yeah, yeah, I don't think that's happening. I'm not like, "Oh, yeah, it was all ground beef down there, and I just made myself a sandwich."
Ground? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I think
not good.
I don't gross myself off too often. Gross myself off? Gross myself.
That's one way to do it.
That's how I get off. I gross myself off. Yeah, that was a little too much for what I was saying. I want to say this from some more secrets of what women don't know about women from men who know. Your secrets aren't always safe. I've been in many relationships where I learned too much about my girlfriend's friends. Have you had this situation where your girlfriend will start talking about all the things with their friends and they'll be like, "But don't tell anybody. I'm not supposed to tell anybody." Also, we could also say, who do you think's better secret keepers, men or women? Because I would feel like it'd be men, but I could be wrong. And it really is down to the individual. But if we were talking about genders, you know,
Yeah, in my experience, it's men.
yeah. Now,
Men are
have you
better
learned,
secret
like, have
keepers.
you been
Yeah.
dating a girl and she starts talking about some things about her friends that you're like, should I even be hearing this?
Yeah, I usually don't get to the "should I be hearing this" part.
I
I'm
gotcha.
usually like,
Well,
"Hey,
I meant
if you
like you're
wanna tell me,
thinking
I'll."
that, right? You're thinking it, but on
Yeah,
the outside, you're like, ooh, tell me more.
that's
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
"Oh, she said what?
Yeah.
Oh,
You guys
and then
got
what did he
drunk
do?"
and you did what? Okay. And I'm not supposed to tell anybody? Can she come over later? Okay. Yeah, no. All right.
Um, so yeah.
Okay. Um, Also, here's a funny story because what I'm going to say is that some of y'all women out there should not be working together. When women work together and they dislike each other, there's some devious shit that goes on, and I've witnessed this. And there's a fun thing. When I first started at the stakeout Philadelphia shop that I always talk about that I worked at for like 12 years of my life, um, it was a woman owner, but all that was there were men. And I asked her one time, and I was like, this is all men. There's a lot of dudes here. How am I supposed to, get lucky? Owner lady. And she's like, you know what, Matt? She's like, I find that when a lot of women work together, they don't get along and it's not productive. At least in her environment. And I found that very eye opening, mainly because it was coming from another woman. It's not like it's just a dude being like, yeah, fuck these women. But and I have witnessed that. Have you witnessed anything like that? Because I mean, I'm sure there's women that can work together, but I've even I've heard stories from other women of other jobs who just constantly talk about, and we talked about earlier about women coming home and talking about their problems or whatever. A lot of it is usually about their coworkers, right? And usually it's another woman.
Yeah, I mean, I agree to a point. That being said, I've also had a lot of jobs that were women dominated in terms of
Right.
the demographics of the
When you worked at that
workplace.
strip club uh,
Yeah,
as a
sure,
bouncer,
but
I was giving you a good job.
yeah,
I wasn't going to give you a
yeah,
shitty job. You were a bouncer.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and I was bouncing, let's
Yeah.
just say.
They were
So
bouncing, you were bouncing.
everybody's bouncing. It was
Yeah.
a bounce house.
Yeah, good times.
So I've worked lots of like retail jobs. Retail jobs tend to be very women heavy, especially like I worked like clothing retail, and that was like 90% women. I found those to actually be enjoyable environments to work on, or to work in. And the
Maybe my the owner that I talked to, maybe she was specifically referring to food, but I don't know what you're if
yeah,
you've had to
that
deal with that within any food, but
I don't know that I've had that before. I do have the opposite situation where there's certain jobs that are men dominated that I actually don't like working in because of the kind of culture, the man culture
yeah.
that is like not my kind of culture. For some reason, I fit into. I've had an easy time fitting into women dominated jobs.
Mm.
Um,
With your
and
wig.
I don't know. Yeah, with my wig,
Yeah.
I don't know why that is. But like I said, like clothing retail, I just had, I had a great time, and that was, that was mostly women that worked that one, and I got along with all of
Would
them,
you
and
say that
it was a
when
great
men
time.
work together, there's a lot more like, we just talked about how we kind of agree that women probably talk more specifics on to their friends about, like, their sex lives, with their boyfriends or whatever. But would you agree that, like, in a man-dominated industry or workplace, like, we're talking about some pretty sick shit? Like, I remember when it was all guys at stakeout, like, we would talk about some crazy shit. It wouldn't be specifics, but we'd be, we're saying dirty jokes and we're, doing stuff like that. I mean, would you agree that that's kind of the case? And it's probably less the case in women, like, with their working
Yeah.
together.
Maybe, yeah. So I think that the difference I'm thinking about are jobs where I've done that's been like manual labor jobs,
Oh, right.
and
When you
the
have, oh,
the
because that's
types.
right, because 'cause you're a doctor. You were delivering babies.
That's that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so the types of jobs that I had that were like that were around a lot of I just didn't enjoy the conversations very much. I couldn't get into it. I couldn't get into the kind of subjects that I enjoyed talking about. And there's generally a lot more like stupidity that I feel like that just surrounds the conversations that everybody's having.
Right.
Um, and these are just some of the jobs that I had where it was like really basic, like landscaping or some other type of manual labor where you're just thrown in with some guys. But it hasn't been every job. I think that when you get closer to retail or food, I think that the guys that I've been around have also been enjoyable to work with. But it's a bit like I'm seeing this cross section of jobs that I've had, and when I look at like the super male dominated fields, in like the manual labor fields, like these are the ones that I've had the least enjoyable experiences as far as like the social relationships that I've had with the people I've worked with. And it hasn't been my problem hasn't been the job itself. It's always usually been this kind of situation. And also sometimes guys can be they like putting you down is a way of getting along with you. And there's a point where that kind of can be okay, but then there's a point where it just rubs me the wrong way, and I just don't like. I'm like, I don't like, why am I constantly being put down by this person that I don't it's like I don't like my job. Now I don't want to work with this person.
Right.
And I'd rather work somebody else where we can have fun, we can make jokes, or we can get into some hijinks, at work. And I've had that too. What's funny is that one of the jobs I've had the most experiences like that at was when I worked at Subway. So it was a food job. So that probably relates closest to, one of the main jobs that I know that you've had, which was a food related job. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so take that for what
Food
it's worth.
related. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was what it was.
Well, I'll let you get into the specifics if you want.
No, 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 no. I mean, I also think it's kind of crazy because guys can be like, we can sit there and be like, tell a dirty joke in one like sentence, and then the next sentence be like, oh, did you know that, like, the new Call of Duty's, whatever the fuck it is. Like, we can
Yeah.
jump around so much. And where I think a woman might be, like, staying on topic a little bit more on certain things, but we can just kinda jump around, and as long as we're cool with it, and me personally, I'm always trying to be the funny one, so I'm always trying to find the joke or, whatever in there, and I think that's good too, but, yeah, I would agree with you that that's, I don't wanna get into the specifics of what I've talked about with, other men, but it can be pretty crazy, I mean, there's some sick jokes out there that I've heard between other men that I probably would never ever repeat to a woman because 'cause I'm just like, I don't know, that's pretty bad. Uh, but
Yeah.
but, life is the way it is, and it's humorous, and you just go from it. You just go with it, and
That's right.
and see how it
That's right.
goes. All right, it's 1 hour and 20. You want to take a like a 2 minute break if you're cool with that?
Yeah, sure.
I gotta pee, and then I've got the questions here. We'll get into the questions. I didn't know how you were doing or how your head's feeling. My head's feeling a little bit better, but I can still feel it.
I'm about the same. About the same, but it's okay. Are we doing the questions and that's gonna cap it off
That's
pretty
gonna
much?
cap it off. Yep.
Okay.
So we just
Yeah.
got questions and
Alright.
that, and I'm kind of just going through a Reddit list here. So hopefully, I'll just maybe rifle off 10, 15 questions or something. We'll go with that. But I'm gonna go
Okay, I'll s
drop a pee.
9:30. Alright.
All right. Well, that was our wonderful segment that we're probably never going to be doing again called What Women Don't Know About Women from Men Who Know. I don't know why I said it like that. I said it very condescending like. All right. Now it's time to answer some questions. These are some questions I found on Reddit from women asking men. So I thought it'd be cool to just kind of, read off some of these questions and we'll give them some answers if they want to if they want the answers, they're going to have to come on here and watch or listen to the podcast. Um, One of the questions is do you use the opening in your boxers or briefs to pee, or do you just pull down the top of your boxers or briefs? Basically, what they're asking is that little opening useful at all? Um, I will say that most likely I'm not using the opening. I mean, I'm just gonna take them down or whatever. But I probably have. Just for quick, like, I don't know, I feel like if there were a time I was gonna do it, it'd be in the middle of the night. Like, if I'm just like, if getting up and I wanna pee and I'm like, "All right, let's just get this over with." What do you have to say? Like, how do you feel about that?
I think it depends on the boxer/brief. I think it's more common with boxers, but here's the thing is pulling it down is such a predictable type of behavior. You know exactly what you're getting into and what the geometries involved are.
Right,
You know what you're getting into. So, if you're using the other method, you have edge cases and possible ways that things can go wrong
right.
and so yeah, it
Because
happens,
we
but
have
I
to
think it's
shake it too. I don't there's another thing I'm not sure if women knows. We
that's
have to
right.
shake it. Um
Also, when you're putting it away, there's always that last drop.
Right. Yeah.
So if you're going through a hole, that last drop has a much higher chance of ending up on the outside
Yeah.
rather than ending up on the
You
inside.
want it
I
to
don't know
stay
if
on the
that's
inside, it drips down your leg a little bit maybe, it dries, like, pretty quick, and so you don't have to worry about it, it just becomes
uh,
part of you.
it's
Um,
annoying for about 38 seconds.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
so, yeah, there's definitely some drippage happening if the ladies wanna know, because it seems like it's impossible. You could sit there and you can pee, and then you could shake that thing all over the place, and then it seems like no matter what, as soon as you tuck it, it's like, "Oh, a little bit more." Yeah,
Yeah, so I would say it's maybe an 80-20 or even 90-10 situation where
that's
most of the time you're just pulling down.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I would agree with you on that. This person asked, honestly, how thoroughly do you wipe your butt? What about cleaning it in the shower? Well, I mean, I'm assuming all people wipe their butts. I mean, unless you're incapable and then somebody else is doing it for you. But so I'm not. I, maybe she's meeting people. She does go on to say that if men are open to prostate massages, and I'll just tell you right now that I don't want anything up my butthole. I mean, if it's a colonoscopy, that's one thing. If it's a little finger to check for prostate cancer, that's another thing. But I'm not into anything
Yeah,
else.
I think that I have enough problems with making sure everything is exiting my butt
Yeah,
okay
digestive.
for
Yeah,
me to
that's what I
ha
was gonna say. I have enough digestive
for me to
issues. Right.
yeah, for me to have to start considering whether or not what the if something can enter it. So, yeah, so that's to quote the rapper, "That's a no from me, dog." Uh,
All right. In the
is that it?
shower, is it the
Yeah.
first thing you clean or the last thing you clean? You clean that before your
Uh,
face, right? And then you just use the same.
no, it's the last one of the
Yeah,
last
it's
things.
one of the last
Yeah,
things. The
it's one of the last
genitals are
things.
like, first of all, I don't know about you, but especially if I'm like going on a date or something, which I haven't done in a long time, but from what I remember, I'm spending a lot of time on the genitals, which is weird because I'm like, oh, I just got to make sure these are just smelling like whatever. You got to put like some
Yeah.
crazy Old Spice like body or
Yeah.
Axe body lotion or something. You're like, yeah, it's smelling like fucking strawberry wind or whatever the hell the flavor or scent is, and so I do tend
Yeah,
to do that.
I spend a fair amount of time like, I'm clean. When I take a shower, I'm clean head to toe,
Yeah,
and when I go,
doctor
you
probably a
know
little bit more than Mister though.
yeah, well, you gotta keep them separated.
Yeah. Oh
Um,
wow, a lot of song
so
references.
that's right, yeah. So what I do is, yeah, or if I'm going to the bathroom, if I'm going number 2, I think that I'm actually higher on the spectrum of cleanliness where I will, when I'm done with that, I'm pretty much as clean as if I had showered, I feel like.
Have you ever used a bidet?
I have not.
I want
I've
to
not,
so
and it's
bad.
not because yeah, it's not because I don't think it's a good idea.
Right.
I just don't have one. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just
I
haven't.
think I think everybody. I mean, I've never used one, but from what I hear, and I'm like, oh my god, it feels like great. And then maybe after you use a bidet a few times, we'll go back to this girl who wants to give somebody prostate massages, and I don't know, maybe we'll be into it then, because there's a bunch of because
Yeah.
technically that's going to be something that's going to go up your butt a little bit, Brandon, and we're trying to avoid that, right? But it sounds very just it sounds so refreshing and it just sounds like it would feel nice. The cleanliness of it all is what I mean, not in a in a different way, but uh,
Yeah, imagine getting peanut butter on your hands
yeah,
and wiping it off with a paper towel,
yeah.
and that's it, and you're calling that
I
clean.
remember a Chris Pratt blooper that I used to watch a lot from Parks and Rec, where he's at a doctor's office and he tells the doctor he just keeps wiping and wiping and wiping and it won't stop, and he's like, it's like a what did he say? He's like, "It's like I got a marker down there, and it just won't it just
Mm,
keeps," and it's just kinda funny.
yeah.
Alright, let's get a little bit more,
Go ahead.
sensual. Wait, no, sensual? Is that the word? I don't that's not the word. Let's get a little more serious. This person wants to know how often do guys cry, or how often do they really cry, or what makes you cry? I'll let you take this one first. Let's see how sensitive you are. I'll be honest, though, I
It
mean, about what
it
I
depends on how you define cry. I
Yeah.
think that I think that crying out of sheer, like, depression or loneliness or a traumatic event is different than it's much easier for me now to sit this is a weird thing that happens. I don't know if this happens after you, like after you've dealt with, like, losing someone that maybe you've loved or maybe just getting older, but sometimes I'll just see a video, and the video will just be about it'll be
Mm,
a less than a 5-minute video,
yeah.
but it'll just get me misty-eyed or something that'll, like, move me to tears a little bit, and I'm not sitting there,
Is
like,
there a
bawling my eyes
specific
out.
video that will do that? A specific type of video?
A lot of times it's about triumph. It's some
Could be
situation where
insult comic
somebody
dog?
no. Yes, when the joke lands,
Yeah,
I'm in stitches.
yeah. That's another Conan O'Brien invention, I'm pretty sure. Well, Robert Smigel,
Yeah.
but yeah, go ahead.
No, but sometimes when somebody who is an underdog, who the world has just stomped on them, over and over, and they haven't had the chance to succeed, and life keeps bringing them down, and then something happens, a nice person comes along, or, some kind of generosity comes their way, or they, through their own means, just happen to break through and do something. They start walking, or sometimes it's like a father finally makes it home from the military
I was
after,
gonna
like, the
say
family
those are
thought he was dead.
big. Those will get me, yeah.
Yeah, and so,
Those will
but
get me
all
even
these
if it's not a kid, if it's like a pet, like a dog remembers, like, somebody who went away for, like, a couple
oh
years, and I'm like,
man,
"Oh god,
that's
yeah,
true.
those will
Yeah,
get me
that's
too."
a big one too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
um,
Like that dog is just still sitting, like, it's still curled up on the same spot on the doorstep
yeah,
waiting
or the
for
ones where they show,
yeah,
like, the dog is, like, laying on the gravesite of, like, their owner, and they won't, like, leave. Even though I feel
yeah,
like I don't know. I'm like, "Shouldn't you, like, bring them in or something?" I don't know. But,
yeah.
yeah.
So sometimes I'll see that and it'll move me to having tears in my eyes, but but I wouldn't put that in the same category as crying out of sheer
Yeah, I think
inability to deal.
she's kinda generic. I think she has to be more specific because you can cry in a like, there's probably a lot of dads that cry when their kids are born or when their daughter gets married, probably more so when their daughter gets married than their son, but, like, there are certain moments where you're gonna cry almost tears of joy, unless maybe you don't like the person they're marrying them, and then it's different tiers. But I mean, I think that there's that kind of crying too. But I also seek out. We were talking about like you were talking about some YouTube or videos or whatever that you would watch that would kind of make you teary eyed, and I totally get that. Um, and we both now had a parent that has passed, and I do get there are things where it won't be big things that I'll remember during the day of like my mom or something, but there'll be something I'll watch that'll be really small that I won't really expect that reminds me of her, and then that's what'll get me. And I wonder if that kind of maybe happens to you sometimes too, where you'll just see that and you'll be like, oh, and you don't even expect it really.
Yeah.
Um,
A big thing for me was always, for some reason, when I was taking a shower, that was always where my mind would go to a place that would make me really sad
yeah.
and make me feel like crying. Like
You were
after my
like, there's
father passed
people in
away.
Africa who can't take showers. That makes me
Yeah.
sad.
And I was like, where are these cameras at? Who's making all this money?
Right. Yeah.
So,
Why did I let
um,
Matt come over to my house when I was not here for
yeah.
3 hours? Now there's
Yeah.
weird
He
stuff
said he
here.
was gonna install a Ring doorbell, but
Right.
all he did was go into the shower and I
Yeah.
heard a drill going for 20
Yeah.
minutes.
Sorry about that.
Um, so yeah, but the shower was oddly always a weird place where I was always able to where like emotional feelings made their way out for some reason.
Yeah.
And so yeah, for the average guy, I don't know what's average. I would say maybe once to twice a year for crying from grief.
Yeah.
And but crying for other reasons that are lesser than that, that are more common, like we talked about the videos, or just when you think of a moment and you get tears in your eyes,
Yeah.
and you're not just full out bawling into the pillow out of grief. But this can happen.
Yeah, because there's
I don't
still
know. I
there's
mean,
still
like,
another, um kind of trying to say, like, there's people that think that, like, guys shouldn't cry. Like, that's another stigma too, where we have to battle that as well. It's like, well, we really shouldn't be crying. So I do wanna say that where women will cry to probably more things just in general or in public maybe, I'm gonna say that most of the guys do their crying in private. I mean, that's partly because I think we have to. That's just the world we live in as well. Um
yeah.
And, do you specifically do you specifically seek out, like, wholesome content, like, on YouTube or something, like, and that's what you'll do? You'll be like, "Oh, I wanna see, like, a reunion between, like, the military," or maybe it's something else.
I don't seek it out, but sometimes the algorithm
Right.
serves it up to me
Yeah.
because they know that I do watch it sometimes. And I don't and I do watch it because and sometimes I enjoy when that content does make it to me and it does make me feel that way
Yeah.
because I will purposefully like ruminate it. Like I'll sit and soak it in because it's a reminder of like what my values are in life and what the true meaning of life is, that
Yeah.
like it connects instantly to me and I'm like, okay, I don't want to forget that this is what's important to me. This is what it's really all about. Are
Yeah.
that these moments of triumph or somebody truly caring for somebody or, or just helping somebody out in their time and need, and it's an emotional moment. And so
I
I
get
like remembering those.
I think
Yeah.
that's I mean, the old stupid cliche saying is, "You gotta stop and smell the roses or the flowers," or whatever, and people are always like, "Eh," but there's a real big, deep meaning to that, and it's like you do have to, like,
Yeah.
realize that, through all this commotion and chaos and mayhem that's happening all the time, there's real life happening, and you've gotta kinda get in touch with, what's really, you know
That's right. I like to say I stop and smell the child in Africa who was finally given that sandwich.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Yeah.
When he smells good.
Yeah, because you gave me the same you steal it from him? Then you're like, "I'm actually hungry." No.
Well, it was a PB&J, and
Yeah.
I enjoy those.
Uncrustable?
Yeah. No, they're
Oh,
Crustables.
okay. Alright. This woman asks, "Do you like cuddling after sex just as much as we do as" okay, sorry, the way the punctuation wasn't great. "You like cuddling after sex just as much as we do, don't you?" Well, nowadays, I used to be a big cuddler when I was younger, but now I have a lot of digestive issues. My stomach always hurts, so I don't want anything near me, honestly. Plus, I get hot easy, and maybe that's just a man thing. Like I overheat easy, I feel like. So I'm not big on cuddling. Um, there is kind of this old thing with men where like this joke where we just have sex and then like after they're done, the woman's like trying to ask the man like something and then he's like instantly asleep or right like he's just falling asleep. It's like that's all he needed. And that sex like was just the tip of what hit the energy he had left for that day. And then he just went back to bed. I'm not a big cuddler. What do you say? Like, do you like cuddling, like, after the deed is done? I guess specifically she wants to know after like, if men like cuddling after the deed is done, but, are you a cuddler in general at all? Maybe I should ask that first.
I guess I could be. I think it's okay. I think that it makes sense for who it makes sense for. I think that if you love someone, you don't have to be to work in 6 hours, then you could probably have the time to do it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of reasons why you might not have an extended cuddling session.
You make it
Uh,
sound like the sex is happening at, like, 3 in the morning or something like that.
well,
I mean, maybe. I mean, it does. I'm
the
not saying it
who
doesn't, I'm
puts
just saying
a
that
yeah, nobody has to put a clock on these things.
that's
It
right.
happens when it
I just
does.
feel like that most people like I understand that because we're people that are night owls. You and I think, are more night owls for the most part. So there are people like, that,
And I prefer dating night owls as well.
yeah.
So
Who? Okay. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, you just think that like if you want to cuddle, you can cuddle. Probably not for a long time, right? Like I don't know, I could do it for short time limits.
like a 5-hour cuddle,
That's too much. Yeah, that's way too
just
much.
in a extended
I don't know
cradle.
if I could sit there like, I see all these like, these TikTok type videos. I don't know why I said TikTok, but I see, like, these reels or shorts on, like, YouTube or Facebook that I'm assuming are, like, probably, like, more like TikTok reels where these people and one thing that always bugs me about watching TikTok reels is that the people always, like, are in, like, giant houses, and I'm like, "Why?" Like, you guys don't like, you're in a giant house. It's very, like, I don't know, it's always a nice house, and it's just, like, this young couple, and I'm like, "Geez, you must be doing good." I don't know if it was because of TikTok or what, but, but there is, like, this thing where, like, when they have to all, like, cuddle together when they're watching a movie. So if you're watching, like, let's say let's say your girlfriend's like, "Oh, I'm coming over. We're watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and you gotta cuddle with me the whole time." Are you like, "Fuck that," or are you like, "Okay, I guess I gotta just deal with this?"
I mean, like, you can cuddle me, but I don't know if it's gonna be a
You're just not gonna be
mutual full
reciprocating your cuddling at all?
it's not gonna be a mutual full-on embrace. First off, when you're talking about movie watching, this is something that I'm a I get pretty deep into my movie watching.
Yeah.
Like, I wanna be connected to the story, I wanna be
Oh, right,
following along, I
yeah.
don't wanna be taking 10 bathroom
You
breaks
also
and
don't want
pause
yeah,
it.
you don't want your woman, like, that close to your like, you that's, like, the one time you don't wanna be thinking about sex, too. So, if she's, like, backing her butt into your friggin', like, your what did you call it that
Doctor and
one
Mister,
time?
yeah.
Your doctor and your mister well, I was thinking about that. Oh, in your good places. If she's backing your butt into your good places, it's like you wanna think about the movie, You don't wanna be like, "Oh god, now what, you want
Yeah,
this?"
exactly.
You know?
Yeah, she's about to find out that the good place is actually the bad place,
Right,
I think,
right,
in the
yeah. "Oh, did you watch that
yeah.
show?"
I
Well,
did,
this
yeah.
whole time we could have been talking about Good Place. Oh,
I
man.
know.
Alright.
It's a shame.
That's alright.
I don't know.
We'll do something else for it. I'm not gonna ask that one. I do have one here, where they're talking about, the balls, and they're talking about, like, what they should do with the balls during sex, and I'm like, I just you don't just I'm not one of these guys. Like, I know there's guys out there that are like, "Yo, man, I met this girl, and she sucked my dick and my balls," and I'm like, I see no reason why a girl has to stick up my nut in their mouth. Like, that's not a requirement to be with me. Um, but as far as what they might have to do during sex, I mean, you don't have to do anything. Just mind the stepchildren, as I would say. Just let them be. They're not gonna they're gonna be. I mean, balls are very sensitive, but during sex, it's like I don't know too many people who've had issues.
Yeah.
Just don't smash them.
I
You know.
I agree. I would say just do what you want, but be mindful that it's like it's like having ovaries on the outside of your body.
Oh,
So just
yeah,
keep
that's a
that in
good way to
mind is
describe
all.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This woman says, "Can you feel our boobs when we hug?" Well, I mean, probably. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't I mean, not with our hands. I'm assuming she means just with our chestal area. Chestal?
Yeah. We should be the ones saying, "Can we?"
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
can we feel your boobs when we hug?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
what the question should be.
Yeah.
We should make a on Reddit, we'll do a reverse one. We'll be like where we're asking the questions to the women. This girl says, "Does a woman's height matter? What about weight? Does weight and height matter?" You know, I don't know if I've dated a girl taller than me, and I'm not like I think I'm average probably for the most part as far as like a men's height, but um I really don't know. I mean, I can't imagine if I saw like a girl who was really attracted to, whether it was to her personality or looks or both or whatever, and she was like 6'4" or something. She played in the WNBA, and I'm not going to be like, I might like that. Be like, man, you can pick me up and shit. You can just take me places. Like, as far as weight, I mean, I'm sure a certain weight would matter, but I'm not like, I'm not going to be like, oh, you're too fat for me or anything. Like, but how do you feel about that?
Yeah, weight matters. You don't I mean, you're gonna see if you're obese, it's gonna be a different playing
Yeah,
field
yeah. No, I
than
was
if
trying to say
you're
it in a nice way, but I'm glad you just went
yeah.
right to it.
Height height probably matters, but I think it matters much less. Um, I think that tall girls and short girls can all get it, and I think
A girl
that,
that's 8 inches tall. I guess Tinkerbell.
what
What about
yeah.
Tinkerbell? What if you're dating Tinkerbell? And I'm assuming
Then
Tinkerbell is like a 40-year-old woman. I don't know how old she's supposed to be.
well, by now, I mean,
Yeah.
she has to be in her 80s.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Does age matter? She didn't ask that, but we could. I mean, how much does it matter? I mean, obviously, it matters legally with a lot of shit. We're not going to get into an Epstein Island situation here or anything. But does age matter to you in the sense like how far can you go? Like, can you date somebody who's 20 years older than you? Can you date somebody who's 20 years young? Can you date somebody who's 20? Can you date somebody who's 60? I guess. I mean, it's hard to answer those questions because I think on the surface, a lot of people would be like, yes or no, however they feel. But you just don't know. Like, you don't know how feelings are going to be, how you're going to feel about people. And so you just don't know. It could happen. I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's somebody out there for everybody.
Yeah.
I think that all these things do matter to different people for different reasons. And I think that is I mean, as far as age goes, I think that as long as you're an adult, that I try to preserve judgment between 2 consenting adults.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that certain things don't seem more appropriate than others,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, I don't judge other people for the decisions they make as adults in terms of what they wanna date. If a 20-year-old wants to date a 60-year-old, I don't know, like, I'm not trying to I'm not trying to put a bunch of mental effort into caring about your situation.
Right.
I have my own life to worry
If you
about in
want
my
to be
situation.
Bill Belichick, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, any numerous other
Yeah,
a bunch of members of our current administration, if you want to be any of these people and you're a guy and you're getting a young girl, good for you. If you are an old lady and you're getting a young guy, good for you. If everybody's happy,
yeah.
who the fuck cares? That's what I
That's
say.
exactly
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
I mean, as long as it's not for
Uh,
nefarious means, yeah.
yeah. And there's a lot of talk about the guys that take advantage of the young girls, but I think it's just as possible you also have young girls take advantage of older
Oh,
guys.
yeah.
And that's not a common viewpoint, I don't think to have, but I think that's the truth. I think that the currency well, I'm gonna put myself in a bad situation here, but
Ooh,
the currency of
clickbait.
a young woman's the currency of a young woman's beauty is makes every old guy look like a gold digger. It's like
Right.
there's just a different way to look at
What
it,
a
but it's
such
all
an elegant saying. That's so beautifully said. You should just make a book. You should write a book of things that people say that are horrible, but you just polish them up and make them sound much
yeah,
better. Um,
there it is.
what are this woman asked? What are some of your thoughts on girls making the first move? Oh my god, could you? Could you please make the fucking first move? That would be great. How about you, Brandon? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it would go great. I think that everybody would be surprised at how great it would go if that was more of a
Can we
common
make,
thing.
like, one day in America? What did they used to call that dance? I never experienced the dance, but every time I see a show and it's a dance where the girl asks the guy, and I think what's it called, like the Sadie Hawkins or something like that? where the girl asks the guy, can we make a day where that's just what it is? Everybody goes to the club, and that day the girl has to ask the guy. Oh, you could just make a full day like that, and then everybody in this country would just go to the club or go wherever they want to go, and the girl has to make the first move.
Yeah. Well, I think there is like an irony here that I'm thinking about where the things that attract guys typically are, or at least initially, are more physical in nature, and the things that attract women are, I think, tend to be more related to personality when it comes to guys.
Yeah.
And so I think that one of the attractive personality traits for a guy to have is the confidence and bravery that it takes to go up and approach a woman. I think that in and of itself is an attractive quality for a lot of women.
Yeah.
So if you have to make the first move, now you're forfeiting your ability to see if this guy is even the kind of guy that would have been willing to approach you in the first
Yeah.
place, because that
Great
is
point.
something you find attractive.
Yeah.
And there probably is some biological evolutionary basis for this, but it's just an interesting thing that, like, as a guy, it's scary, but also conquering that fear is part of what makes you the kind of guy that she does want to say yes to, even though you don't know if she's going to say yes, so it's a tricky
Maybe if
situation.
the Bible in the beginning told us who made the first move, Adam or Eve.
Oh, thou shalt make thou shalt what does it say? How does it go?
Thou shall not eat the apple? Or it wasn't even an apple, was it? It was just a fruit in general.
Yeah, the bundle of grapes.
Yeah, the bundle of grapes. Feed them.
Yeah.
This woman says, "Do you all enjoy late night chats as much as girls do, or does it annoy you?" Honestly, I think if we like the girl, like it's like a. I don't know if she mean like people are probably gonna like hear this and be like, "What the hell is this guy talking about?" But back in the day, we would do this on the phone, right? Now, I don't think people really talk on the phone like they used to. I think it's more just text, or if anything, it's like this, where maybe they'll call somebody through like Messenger or whatever. I don't know, maybe. So I don't know. I mean, if I don't know if she means like in person, or I'm assuming she means in person, but I think yeah, I think if you like the person enough, and as long as you, I mean, I'm down for a chat. I mean, this is what we're
Yeah.
fucking doing once a week, right? We're two dudes and we're having a chat once a week and it's a podcast. I mean, so if this girl's saying, "Hey, do you enjoy chats that much?" There's literally a whole media out there that's literally just that. It's like, what everybody does. But yeah, I have no problem with it. I don't,
Yeah, I enjoy late night chatting. It also partially depends on what the chat is about,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna
yeah.
sit there and just talk about, like, the Real Housewives of whoever for, like, 3 hours, I'm not gonna be into that, but,
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll talk
equal
about it
oh, I'm
for
sure there'd be things that
30
yeah,
minutes, I'll give you 30
there
minutes.
there'd be certain things that we would say that, it'd be the same thing. They're gonna be like, "Well, I don't wanna talk," like, for me, like, I don't think you're a big sports guy, but I'll talk sports, and they'll be like, "I don't wanna hear, you know, anything about LeBron James unless it's his
Yeah,
cock size," and then I'll tell 'em what his cock size is.
because
Yeah, I do. Well, everybody has a chicken. Are the chickens the cock or the rooster's the cock?
Yeah,
Everybody has the rooster.
yeah. I thought his was muzzled,
Yeah, it was. It was.
so I wasn't sure.
Oh yeah, this was the one where the girl said, "What the fuck do you do with someone's balls during sex?" Well, like I said, unless they're into something and they want that and you're okay with it and it's two consenting people wanting, one's ball in another's mouth, whatever, if that's what you want to do. But for me, and I'm assuming Brandon's the same way, just don't worry about them. Just pretend they're not there. You don't, we don't, that nothing has to happen to the balls. The main reason they're there is for what? Because they're going to make the baby, right? That's where all the stuff is to make the baby, uh, you know, and we'll see, but
Yeah, I thought I made the baby.
all by yourself.
Well, I thought it was like a sort of like a shake and bake and I helped kind of
It is. I
situation.
think it is. It is. That's a good one. Um, ooh, this is a good one because I would agree that we are. She asks, "Are you as judgmental?" No, never mind. I thought she meant she's saying, "Are you as judgmental over our bodies as we are?" I thought she meant like I thought what she was trying to say was, "Are we all judgmental over our own bodies?" Which I would say men are. Um, are you as judgmental over their bodies as much as they are? Probably not. I think the most isn't it like the worst the your own worst you are your own worst enemy? Like, so I
Yeah.
think that everybody's
We're
probably the
not.
harshest on themselves.
The bodies so the bo so I'll say it the truth here is that the bodies are important to they're an important aspect of the attraction that we feel, or at least that I feel. But in terms of judgmental, I think that women are way more judgmental about their own bodies or
Oh,
about each other's bodies because
yeah,
they go into things like nails and eyebrows and things that they're like, "Your eyebrow,
right.
you didn't pluck your eyebrows right. Your nails are all
And
looking
that's
messed
all
up." And
societal
it's like,
too, right? Like, that's
I'm like, "I
society
don't care
teaching.
about."
Yeah, we don't care about any of
Yeah, like
that. In fact, if it wasn't for companies like Maybelline and all these other places that said, "Hey, ladies, you've gotta wear makeup to be beautiful," it's like, dude, we went how many fucking hundreds of years without women wearing makeup? You know? Maybe they put something up there, but, like, as far as, like, makeup and that's another thing where it kinda bugs me because now they're kind of expected, and there's a reason why it takes a woman like an hour to get ready before like you go away and the guy's like, "Yeah, I'm ready after like 15 minutes or whatever it is." Because there's all these extra things that society expects women to do and I get it. It's like, fuck, that must suck So, um this woman says, "Are all boobies good boobies?" Uh I I don't know. I don't really think I've ran into a bad set of I've never looked at a set of boobs, like bare naked boobs and been like, "Oh my god, what is this atrocity?" Like, I've never done that. I mean, are there boobs that I feel like that are better than other boobs? Probably, yeah, definitely, and most men would say that. Some men like them bigger, some like them plumper, some whatever it is. But I'm gonna say to this question specifically, are all boobies good boobies? Yeah, I would say they're fine. Yeah. If anything, like I said, they'd be better, not worse. What do you think?
yeah, I agree. There's something out there for everybody,
Yeah. The best boobs are the boobs that I can touch. That's what I'll say. Yeah.
and you can touch them all.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, this is interesting. This woman says, "I'm with someone who buys me flowers to make me smile. What would be something I could do similarly for him that is non-sexual that would brighten his day?" Uh, I feel like flowers is a universal thing for women. Is there a universal thing for men? I don't know. Because it really depends on what you know about your guy. Like if there's a game that he really likes, if he's a gamer, like that would totally brighten somebody's mood if you just came back with a game or something. Like so it really probably just depends on we'd need more information. You need to know.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
get involved with his hobby,
With
and
his hobby,
there's
with his one
yeah,
hobby, he's only got
there's one
one.
hobby,
Yeah.
or with his
I got
hobbies.
you.
There is something there. There's always something there, I think, with most guys.
Mm.
There's something there you can find that will brighten his day.
All right, let's do a couple more here. I don't know how this one. I I forgot to ask you before this pod, and this is not anything I'm going to cut out of the pod or anything. This is kind of interesting banter in before how open you were to talking about certain things. Like some men or some women aren't open to talking about their sex lives or things of that nature to people. But this girl does ask, "Do pussies generally taste/smell appealing?" Um, and I would say that as long as there's good hygiene involved, they do. Now, I will say I knew a girl. Here's a personal story. I knew a girl that I went to school with, and then I saw her at a grocery store like 10 years later out of school. We actually dated in school, but it was like junior high. And she was really this was like the middle of the day, and she was kind of drunk already. I could tell she was drunk at the grocery store. But she wanted to come over, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And she came and so I picked her up and brought her over, and she was still really drunk. But then she took off her panties, and Brandon, it was
Tell me.
bad. It was like and there might be guys, like, I've known some guys who are pretty nasty who would be like, "Oh, I'd still tap it." But I'm telling you, man, the smell was like, no, no. The smell was where you're never gonna get him at attention because even he knows it doesn't smell right. And so, um I would say that, yeah, if you're practicing good hygiene and you obviously don't have any infections or anything, because I know that can happen, and that's not your fault. You just got to get that stuff out. But yeah, I would say as long as there's good hygiene involved, like for the most part, It's appealing. Um, I don't know. What do you do you want anything to say to that?
There's something out there for everybody.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's all I have to say. Yeah, I don't think it's objective across the board that I can say an answer that is
Right.
that
Yeah,
everybody
it's a
agrees
lot of
with.
these questions are subjective. Like, it really
Yeah,
just depends on the situation and the scenario.
yeah,
It's not like the definition of confusion is 20 blind lesbians in a fish market. It could be, but it's not. All right.
that's not.
Let's do one more. Well, we kind of already talked about this a little bit, but she's doing a specific here, and it says, "Is it true that guys generally hesitate or avoid going up to and talking to a woman that is super attractive? Like, I mean, like a 9 or a 10. Is attractiveness, appearance, something that makes you stall when shooting your shot?" Quote. Um, well, wouldn't that be the only thing? We don't know the person yet. So we don't know a personality. So it would totally be based on attraction. And so she's saying if they're on the hot scale, like the 10 out of 10, where most people would say, oh, this woman is gorgeous, then yeah, I would say, yeah, the hotter they are in our own opinion, the harder, yeah, definitely it's going to be.
I've actually heard before that in some situations, there's some women that are extreme, like 10 out of 10, that are so attractive that they actually get hit on less than women that would be
Oh,
perceived as
yeah.
more like an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
And the reason why they get hit on less is because most men assume that they A, have no shot, and B, they assume that she must get hit on 1,000 times a day.
Yeah.
And so it's just so you just know you're just lost in a sea of men who are hitting on her. When in reality, she's like so unbelievably attractive that it's like actually less men are taking shots,
Yeah.
trying, going
If
and
we
hitting
think
on her.
that you're out of our league, which we don't have the greatest confidence anyways already, which we've already kind of pointed that out earlier on in the show, then yeah, we're definitely gonna not. I mean, it's gonna be way harder. I mean, like, do every once in a while we just say, fuck it, let's just try this? I've tried to, but I think that a lot of times I failed because then you just like you can't muster up the will to actually do it. Um, but I will say that society, like when you look at society, I look at women like Olivia Munn, or even like people like Ariana Grande, Selena Gomez. Um, Not that Benny Blanco, maybe Benny Blanco's a attractive man to, I don't, maybe he's attractive, more attractive than I think he is to women, but like Olivia Munn like dates a lot of comedians, and I think that that's one where like I would have loved to find a woman who like her number one thing is comedy, is funny. Like if you're funny, like that's what attracts me to you. And I have met women like that, and I do love that. Like because I like a funny woman too. Where I think that's another kind of thing where a lot of men out there might say, oh, I don't really want a funny or a quirky woman. I want to be the funny one or whatever. But I like
Yeah.
it if they're funny too. But yeah, I think if you see like that, Ariana Grande dated what? Ariana Grande dated Pete Davidson, dated Mac Miller before he died. People that I would not say are, like I said, I'm saying this from a guy's point of view, that I wouldn't consider like the holy grail of guys for girls. So I think by seeing that and if you see more of that, I think that should help us, right? That should be like, oh, there are really good looking girls that, date like people who are not really like up to their level. But then you do see the really good looking girls that are like with the guys that are like they're all tens. And you're like, well, you know what? That's probably not a girl I'd want to be with because she's obviously looking for the top tier and you don't want to deal with that anyways, or, you don't want to strive for that. But that's what I would say.
I would say you're a 10, Matt.
Thanks, man. I appreciate
You're right
that,
up there
bro.
with them.
Even though we're related, so it was weird, but that's all right. There'll be another show that we'll do in Alabama. It'll be a fun show. Um, Sorry to the people in Alabama. I know you're not all like that. Um, All right. Well, you know what? I think that this part where we read off questions could be a segment in further podcasts. I think that would be great, where we just kind of read off some questions and answer them about what girls want to ask about men. Otherwise, this has been a pretty good episode. We are two men just talking about what women don't know about men, and hopefully they've learned something. I just wanted to learn one thing, and hopefully that helps them out. Do you have any final thoughts, Mr. Ice Cream Sunday?
Um, be a little bit creepy sometimes.
It's okay to be creepy. That's your
That's
final.
all I gotta
It's
say.
okay to be a little.
Just be like
Be
1% creepy.
1% creepy. That's actually not that creepy. I feel like 5%. It might be okay to go
Yeah.
up to 5.
5%.
Yeah,
We're not talking 50, not 30,
right.
but let's
If
do
you get up
5%
past
creepiness.
50, what's like 80%? 80% is probably like Ed Gein
You're doing
territory where he's like ripping off your skin and he's murdering you and having sex with your dead body and wearing your skin around on the red carpet and they're asking him what he's wearing and all that
I
stuff.
would hate to see 100% if that's what 80%
I know.
feels like.
I know my creepy scale went really weird. It was like on a curve there. I don't know.
Yeah,
It was weird.
yeah.
All right. And just by the way, on the whole curve aspect, remember, ladies, they're not all curved. All right. Well, it's been a great show. And until next time, from us to you, have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.